All right, we rolling. All right, good afternoon. Welcome back to Proud Masculine. I'm Joe. Today's guest is Alpha Villains, and he and I met through an associate, a common associate, Afi Kingdom. Shout out to Afi. And you and I had a while back had an opportunity to talk a little bit and kind of see how our views aligned and see what was up to do a little collab together. Obviously, some things came up on my end, moving around, taking work out of state and all. We didn't get into all that too much, but here we are today. And
Yeah, man.
thank you for coming on.
Absolutely, Joe. Thanks for having me on, man. Shout out to Afi Kingdom. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. He actually knew Joe. He actually recommended Joe to me and kind of linked this together. Like Joe said, we had a conversation offline just to kind of see where our mindset was. We realized that we saw a lot of things the same way as far as masculinity, the state of the way things are today versus how they were back then. And it's good to be here, man. So thank you for having me on your platform, bro.
Yeah. And so I don't know if my subscribers know, I'm sure there's some cross connection there, but why don't you tell us a little bit? You relatively new on the scene, aren't you?
Man, I'm still wet behind the ears, bro. I'm an old ass rookie, Joe. So basically, I go by AV, right? It's initials for Alpha Villains. I created Alpha Villains because right now, man is deemed the enemy, right? So if you are an alpha, you're a leader, you're masculine, you're trying to get fit, you're working on your finances, you have options with women, society deems you as a villain. So my goal in creating Alpha Villains was to create a network called Masculinity Awareness Network. And I want to change the narrative on how men are perceived while pursuing their goals, pursuing their finances, becoming the best versions of themselves, and really kind of straying away from all that toxic BS that's occurring right now in the manosphere and all the dumb shit, and really just change the narrative and show that you can be a masculine man, you can be a leader what most people need and not be toxic. Embrace masculinity, and that's my goal. So I got a YouTube channel, Alpha Villains. You can follow me on Instagram at Alpha Villains as well. I'm still brand new. I don't really have a setup per se, Afi, and I've been very fortunate to be on several platforms with other people just to kind of showcase some things that I can do or things that I can say. And I'm working on my channel soon, man. So that's my goal ultimately.
And so tell me a little bit about why, like what brought you to the space? I mean, nobody comes here because everything was going great and you wanted to expand your awareness.
Right.
What set it off?
Yeah. So basically, what set it off, man? I'll be honest with you. It wasn't necessarily because of a heartbreak. It wasn't necessarily because I was bitter at women. I'm 47. I'm an old schooler before social media and all that shit. And I've always been good with women. So women wasn't necessarily the problem. What I didn't realize is that I didn't really have a balance as far as doing the other things that masculine men should be doing. Mm-hmm. Focusing on their finances, focusing on things that matter, that will outlast a feeling, focusing on things that matter than more than just sex. So for me, I was good with women. I let them derail me. I didn't grow up with a father. And it was a point in time when, as I was getting older, I started thinking, something just isn't clicking. Some things are just not working out for me. I don't know how I stumbled on Red Pill, bro. I didn't search up anything. I found Steve the Dean Williams, the Man Mindset. Mm-hmm. I started hearing him, and I'm like, oh, I could deal with this guy, because most men in my age bracket are either trying to be young and follow the F-boy narrative, or you rarely find masculine men in your vicinity, Joe, right? You probably have a couple of dudes that you rock with, but for the most part, you probably know more dudes online that see eye to eye with you than people around you. So for me, that's what kind of opened up the rabbit hole. Then I didn't realize, then I started listening to Donovan Sharp, MLD, Rich Cooper, all these guys, and I didn't realize there was a community. So I started listening to that. So I started purging their content. So then I started saying, okay, a lot of things were starting to make sense to me about my mother, why my father left, things I did when I failed in relationships, things I could have done better. I started to see that there was a lot of benefit for me. So I said, you know what? I want to participate in this shit. But I'm not a dating coach. I'm not a style consultant and shit like that. But I do see that there is a big need for masculinity, old school masculinity to be implemented in society. So I came into the scene that way. I started creating shirts, right? Heavy Lies the Burden, a couple of shirts that were inspired by red pill content, started giving it out to some content creators, and they bit. They started to wear my stuff. And then for some strange reason, man, I was given an opportunity to come on a platform. And ever since then, I've been guest appearing on different platforms. So for me, the red pill community is primarily focused on women, finances, and fitness, but there's a lot more to it. Now, I'm embracing all of that because that's a necessary component to feel like a man. But for me, my take on this shit is to really bring back that old school masculinity that is so necessary, because you are fighting against the narrative with social media, the media, women, all this shit. So I think it's very important for us men to stick together and kind of just remind some of the new guys what it was really like and what it needs to be to sustain a better life.
Well, you mentioned social media, the narrative, the this new social construct of, what they say is a quote, real man. You know how they like to use those manipulative words. You forgot one sect, one sect of people that we are up against, and that's other men.
That's our biggest enemy, brother.
Other men. And you're right, there's a community here, and the people I know and associate with most exist online.
Right. Exactly.
And here's the thing, and I'm sure you've experienced the same thing. Once you understand these truths, and once you see the truth about what being a man is, and I'm going to go real general here. I ain't going to, I just don't have the time to get into details.
I hear you. I'll follow you.
You and I speaking, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right. Okay.
The viewers may not. You can always leave a question in a comment, and I'll definitely get back to that.
Okay.
So, what really being a man is, the characteristics, the mindset, with the idea of a man being focused and having a purpose and putting himself first and being direct, and all these things that embody being a masculine male. So that has all but been stripped from men these days. You look at these young 20-somethings. Look, I grew up with a single mom too. I was clueless. I thought people gave a shit. I thought people cared about your struggle. I thought you were supposed to tell chicks, tell them how you feel. And oh man, it's almost embarrassing to talk about. But if you look back on your life and you're not like disappointed, disgusted, or laugh at yourself, it means you haven't grown much. I mean, nothing's happened.
Right.
Like if you look back and you say, well, I like the way everything went, you're still lost.
Absolutely. You said something very important, and I think your viewers and most people need to be reminded of. You don't learn from wins. You learn from losses. And you said something also important too. You said, in hindsight, looking back at your life, you're like, damn, I shouldn't have done that. I feel disgusted. You're absolutely right. But this is what molded you today. And I think it's important that you are leading with your lessons and teaching your audience, the people that you coach, whoever's you are influencing, Joe, is important, because I say this all the time, bro. The stuff that we've been through, Joe, in our age bracket, these younger guys couldn't handle, okay? Because they have everything given to them. They have all the information from Google and a smartphone. We had to learn through trial and error. A lot of guys are applying what they find attractive in women into themselves. This in turn is confusing the woman and confusing the man. It has long-term bad effects. So when you say you was clueless, a lot of us were. And I don't necessarily blame my mother for it, and it's crazy. As I grow and I get older day by day, I start to think to ask myself, did my mother know what she was doing, or was she just being a woman and doing what she does? That's a question I ask myself all the time, because she's a woman. I told Afi the other day, you got to focus on what they are, not who they are. So my mother is my mother, but she's still a woman, and they're wired all the same. A car is a car. So at the end of the day, man, we were clueless, but it's good for us, and it's good to this opportunity to teach people how much we didn't know, and teach the people what we do know and what they need to know.
Well, and look, no, you're absolutely right. And I think it's part of our responsibility, because this has been lost. Like when I was really young growing up, you were put around, like my dad would bring me around friends and uncles. You had an influence. You had other men to model your behavior. Now, was it the best model? No, but that was still when men were men. When men came home from work, and if they wanted to go hang out at the bar for a little while, they'd walk in, take a shower, tell the wife, I'm going to the bar.
That's
See you in a little while. That was it.
Yeah, that's it.
There wasn't no, hey,
I'll
baby.
be back.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, I have a friend, and you would look at this dude, and he's like 6'2", weighs about 240, 250, fucking jacked, shredded, just a good looking dude. And a couple months ago, I called him up. I like to eat lunch. That's my thing. Call people I know, we go eat lunch, shoot the shit, whatever. And so for whatever reason, he popped in my head. So I called him up, said, yo, let's go have some lunch. It's like, where are you thinking? I said, 527. All right, hold on. Let me ask.
I knew you were going to say that, bro.
I said, what? And he said, yeah, hold on. Let me see if she minds if I go to lunch. I was like, I said, you know what? Never mind. He's like, no, it'll only take a second. And he goes, baby, hey, you mind if I go eat lunch with Joe? I'm like, bro, you need permission to go eat lunch? He's like, well, she's got this to do. I said, and what does that got to do with you? Like,
Joe, it's daytime, bro.
It's daytime.
It's up the block. It's not like we're going to Costa Rica for the weekend.
I don't give a fuck if we all going to Costa Rica.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, Joe, you know what is crazy? You said something important, which is good for the audience too. You said you described a friend of yours, a Chad, if you will, 6'2", jacked, good looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
And he still has to ask permission. So a lot of guys think that because you look like that, you are masculine. I'm not disrespecting your friend. I'm just saying masculinity is not just being jacked, being tall, being good looking. Masculinity is having your mindset and your framework intact, whether you're jacked, short, fat, ugly, rich, broke. At the end of the day, you have to make sure that you are managing your surroundings. You don't ask your girl, do you mind? Say, hey, I'm going here. I'll be back.
And you ain't got to be a dick about it. You ain't got to be a chest beating girl. Woman, I'm going somewhere. It doesn't have to be like that. Right. You be nice. Like, baby, I'm going to go grab lunch. What's his face? And then a lot of times they're going to say, oh, where you going? We hadn't made up our mind. Oh, if you tell her. When you going to be back? Well, we'll see.
I'm not sure. I'll let, you know.
And they just asking to ask. Like they ain't. And that's it. I'm not sure. But, and I don't even see anything wrong with, like, if you change locations, you shoot a text. Look, we're done eating lunch. We're going to grab a drink down the street. And, okay. I don't see nothing wrong with that. But so I'm not going to get off on a fucking curveball here with that on that subject. We can at another time.
Right.
But in terms of, being a well-rounded, well-integrated masculine man, which is almost absent in society today.
Facts.
It's about living from a place that you like to be operating. And look, I'm a pluck one from the Rational Male, from Rollo Tomasi.
Mm-hmm.
Your own mental point of origin.
Facts.
And not only does that fulfill and satisfy you, everybody around you that you're leading, your girl, your kids, get the best fucking version of you. You're at your most effective. They're learning. If you have a daughter, she's learning what a man's supposed to be like. You have a wife or a girl, she wants you to lead. And I don't care what the narrative says. I see women who have the upper hand in relationships, and they are miserable bitches. And then your son gets to see what a fucking man looks like. And I believe there are, things that fall within that, these little characteristics of behaviors, habits, hobbies, whatever you want to call, that go in to build that man, that are absent today. Like, you look around at men, these men don't have manly features anymore. It seems like I see a lot of men who look girly. Like, it's kind of hard to make out. They had a little 13-year-old kid in the grocery the other day, and his or her, I still don't know if it was a boy or a girl. The back turn, and he, whatever it was, spoke to the mother, and like, it just caught my attention. And like the haircut,
bro,
the clothes, like, you turn around, I couldn't tell if it was the baby fat or if it was sprouting titties. The face, very androgynous, like very gender ambiguous, like ambiguity. Like, I couldn't make it out. And I sat there and tried for, like, I even took a different angle, like looking in the shopping cart. Is there bargain snacks?
Right, yeah.
Or is there fucking Spider-Man snacks? You know what I mean?
Dude, yo, you said something important, man, which is critical. You said that it's absent, that old school thing. And you're looking at boys and girls and men, for that matter, they want to be equal. That's the narrative. They want to create equality. And we're not equal. Men and women are not equal. Doesn't mean that women are less than men. It just means that we are not equal. You also said, when you running your household, doesn't mean you got to be a dick about it. You ain't got to be an ape and beat your chest. A lot of insecure men make their women feel bad, or they highlight how they run their household. That puts your woman in a position where she has to defend herself to her family, to her friends, and it puts you in a position where you just seem insecure. When you are something, Joe, you let your aura, your energy, the way that you carry yourself speak for you. You don't have to speak. And that's the problem with these young guys today on social media. They want to highlight everything, show everything, talk about everything, the whole receipts mantra. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's all bullshit. But at the end of the day, man, it's all fabricated shit. And if you got to say it, you're not really it. A lot of guys like us, old school dudes, we know the difference. And we're like, no, this shit is not adding up. So, and women know too, because women have access to this content, Joe. You know that. I know that. They've been running the game. They're running the game longer than these guys on this shit doing it. You know what I'm saying? So
not only do women have access to this content, but, and then, a lot of guys, you underestimate how fucking smart women are. Bro. Women have been getting hit on since the time they're 12 years old and start showing their hips fill out a little bit, their titties start to grow. These chicks have been getting dicks thrown at them since they're in middle school.
Facts.
They can smell your fake ass when you're walking up to them.
And they can smell a mark too, Joe.
Yeah, they can.
A trick. They go smell a trick. They're, this guy likes me. I'm going to get him for his money. And then they want to blame the woman, Joe. They want to blame the woman for them leading with their wallet, leading with the shit that's fabricated, and the woman taking them. Right, yeah. Superficial, taking them from them, and then they get mad. This content, this space was created because women knew the game before we did, because they had dicks thrown at them since 12 years old. If you're an average dude, you're not a good looking dude, you're not an athlete, you lost your virginity later. If you are natural, you probably lost it earlier, but women are light years ahead of you. So if men can accept that and understand that they have to be the best version of themselves, mental point of origin, block out all the bullshit, people will come back to you that need to be in your life. You know what I'm saying?
And then, and you said something really profound. It was something I heard as a guy I follow on YouTube. I listen to his shit regularly. This guy, Andy Stumpf. He's a former SEAL, and he has high profile guests, typically former military and stuff like that. But he does really good. He's a great interviewer. And yesterday he said something along the same lines of, you don't learn when things are good. You learn. Failure is the teacher, not success. What do you learn succeeding? What do you learn when you're doing something well? Absolutely nothing. Right. How are you pushing that threshold if you don't even know where that threshold is, or that there is a threshold? Or so And this, you made me think of this when you talk about these guys, walking up and having success or failure with women, and being a mark or a fake, and this applies to anything, just improving it. And I'm a big proponent of self-improvement. And I'm not saying, my thing is just do a little something every day. Every day. There's even a fucking micro move that you can make to move towards betterment, improvement. There's always something you can do. I don't give a shit if you spend an extra 5 minutes writing something down that can benefit you in the next few days, that you can look back on that was productive.
Absolutely.
That's still momentum in the positive direction. Yeah, right, right.
Absolutely. You know what's crazy, Joe? You're absolutely right. This is old school shit, bro. We ain't always, and I'm sure you would agree. I encourage men to do a to-do list, but write it down. Don't put it on don't record it. Write it down. I'm old school. So, and make the list right, and make the list realistic, right? So that way, at the end of the day, you've had a sense of accomplishment. So if today is 3, Thursday it's 5, but you level up. You also said something important too. Do something every day to make yourself better. A lot of guys today, bro, are living comparatively. And you know who lives comparatively? Women. Women get dressed for women. They don't get dressed for you guys. They get dressed for other women. So men want to compare themselves to other dudes. How you getting sex? Are you paying for sex? Are you not paying for sex? Clout chasing, all this dumb shit. It doesn't really matter. Should you jerk off? Should you not? It doesn't matter. Stop living comparatively. You have to try to identify the type of life that you want. These guys are too busy in the bleachers getting mad at the players on the field versus doing the work and getting on the bench to get into the game. That's the shit.
Well, and this is something I actually thought about yesterday as well. It's something to talk about on here, and that. So yeah, men do that because they being conditioned and brought up to believe that they should copy what the women do. Like it's okay to be an effeminate man, and it's not. But I've also learned that there's what do they call it? The Pareto principle, the 80-20. Like you're just going to have 80% of the people, men, women alike, that are that type, the follower, the copiers.
Sure.
That's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. It has to be like that. There has to be a separation in every aspect of life, whether it applies to who's in a workforce. You need workers. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You need the workers. You need people who don't ask questions.
Right.
Who put their heads down and get the work done. And then you got the people directing. Then you got the people, you know what I mean? Anyway.
Yeah.
Back to my original point. Every man on this planet has that inner voice, that inner guidance, that inner direction. But it's usually so clouded by the time you get old enough. Like you had that fucking clear vision when you were 4 and 5 years old. No, and the only thing that clouded that vision was family, peer pressure,
religion,
program and religion. Yeah. So you knew, look at on the playground, and you see them little rough ass little kids.
Right.
Like little fucking alpha males running all over the place, right? Yeah. We consider alpha. I'm gonna tell you now, I'm not a fan of the alpha beta fucking, but we say it because it's easy to identify.
For context, right. For context, right.
So, and then, which I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to that failure thing, is that in today's society, and I'm guilty of this, I'm watching my son go through it now, paying the consequence for. And this is something his mother and I have butted heads with. And right now we are dealing with this, in this time frame as we're speaking. This woman's calling me. I don't know what to do with him. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. I'm like, look, I told you years ago when he was a little boy, and I used to crack down on his ass. She'd say, you're being too hard on him. And I always used to tell her, you're raising a man. You're not raising a housewife. And like anytime things would get uncomfortable, she would be there to scoop him up. And I said, that is going to come back and bite you in your ass one day. You got to let these young men fail. You got to let them hurt. You got to let them fall in their face. You got to let them skin their knees. You got to let them slam their fucking fingers in the door. They got to know that pain. Failure and pain are the two greatest teachers in life, especially for men.
bro.
especially for men.
Big facts. Let me tell you something, bro. That's facts right there. You know, there are a lot of parents, right? There are a lot of parents that they're creating a disservice for their kids. You said something important. You got to let the kid scrape his knee. You got to be, if you're a parent, you got to be the parent that allows the kid, the boy or the girl, to climb up the tree. You don't prevent them from climbing up the tree because you're scared they're going to fall. You let them climb up the tree, but you stand on the bottom and catch them if they fall. If your son gets a scrape on his knee on the skate because you wanted to ride the dirt bike, you get the antiseptic and you clean it when he's done. If he gets bullied at school and you tell him to punch the kid the next time he does it and he punches him, when he comes home, you wipe his bloody nose. But you're empowering your child. You are empowering your child and you are creating somebody better, a better version of, so he could be a better version in society. A lot of single women, they don't even know that they do this. They create son husbands. You know what I mean? My king, her son. But she drove away the real king away.
Yeah.
And when the kid gets older, if he looks like the dad, there's a little resentment there. And the mom wants to keep the kid down next to them, creating a problem, creating an effeminate man, creating a virgin who's in his 20s, an incel, a black pillar. So what we're saying is masculinity is not toxic. It's like anything. Power, if it's misused, it can be deadly. Masculinity, if it's misused, it can be deadly. Women need to really allow us to take the wheel on things that they really have no business doing and inherently don't want to do. Women want to talk about that they want to do all the work. They want to be 50-50. Women can do whatever their man wants to do, but they're not doing the plumbing jobs. They're not doing the CDL jobs. They're not doing the heavy lifting. They want to do shit when it's convenient. So at the end of the day, if a woman allows a man to be strong in where his strengths are, we will in turn allow women to be strong in her strengths, nurturing and all that other shit. You don't got to be together with the woman, but we can work together if we embrace our respective roles.
Absolutely. And the differences in masculinity and femininity are not meant to be adversarial. They're meant to be complementary.
Boom.
It fits like that, the chalice and the whatever the fuck it's called.
Yin and the yang, right?
It's the two pieces fit and they fit well. And when you fit them together and they fit well, it's better. You're better together than apart.
Absolutely.
And just like I said, all men have that inner drive, that inner voice, that core aggression, and women have that inner soft side. Every last one of them. I'm telling you, I know this shit. And I have proof from a 70-something-year-old woman who told me, who was this, I'm a strong, independent woman and I raised my kids and I don't need no man type. 70-something years old, she told me she thought she was dying. This is my mother. Her kidneys failed. She thought she was dying. I was at the hospital talking with her. From the minute I walked in, she had tears in her eyes, and this was like a year and a half ago. Obviously, she's still alive.
Good.
But it looked bad right then and there. Like sure. I didn't know if she was going to make it or not either. But I didn't wear that on my face when I went in.
Sure.
So, and I said, "What's wrong, sweetheart? You look upset." And she was teared up, and she said, "There's something I've been meaning to tell you, for a long time, and I'm sorry about, bringing you up the way I did and the mistakes I made." And I said, look, I appreciate that, and I love you more than anything, and let's do something right now, right this minute. We're gonna just move on from that, okay? Like, it's been a long time. There's no reason. Like, I said, deal? I said, come on. Make a deal with me.
That's awesome.
So she said, yeah. And then she starts talking to me. She's like, there's so many things I regret. And she said, all along, all I wanted was a man to love me. And all along, she swore on her journey, I don't need no man. And she said, every man, I pushed men away. And she went in a lot more detail than that.
Sure.
So then it's like, bing, the fucking light bulb moment. I'm like, God damn it. I knew it. And I hear it from chicks that I've dated in the past, even, fly by night dater or somebody was in a rotation,
Sure.
friends with benefits.
A fling, right.
they even say, like, that's what they want. Even the younger ones know down the line. I'll give you an example. My little waitress friend, 25,
Nice.
and insanely high notch count, untouchable in my eyes. So, and one night we had a talk about that, and she's telling me, oh, and I used to fuck this one and fuck that one. I fuck this dude before I went to work. I get off work and go fuck this guy, and then this. She's like 3 dicks a day.
Jesus, that's just real.
And the whole time I'm like, gee, why are you telling me this?
You know,
because I just come across as the guy that's unfazed by that, which I am, because I have no intentions of, I'm not going to judge her for it. But then I said, look, sweetie, I said, I'm all about being honest and forthcoming. I said, but there's going to be a point in time when you don't have this body. You're not going to be this sexy. And the 10 years ago chick will. And you're going to be wanting to settle down with a guy. I said, look, I'm not for deception and all, but you never get a woman's true notch count anyway.
Of course not. Jesus.
So I said, you might want to not tell that to the guy. And she's like, why? I don't see a problem. I'm like, well, he will. And she's like, well, tell me why. She said, I think of it as a good thing. Like, doing the things I've done, wow. I can have sex with him. Like, I can blow his mind. Like, he'll have the greatest sex. I said, but you're not going to have that kind of sex with this guy. He's not going to be. She didn't understand. And, Ryan Stone's been putting stuff out about guys trying to explain shit to chicks.
Yeah.
And I caught myself doing that. I'm like, you know what? I'm
forget it. Yeah.
I'm like, look, you'll know when you need to know. Like, that shit will click.
Yeah. Joe,
yeah. So I don't know, how the fuck did we get there? Oh, yeah. Women's true desire. Like the women's core, wanting to be feminine, soft, protected, no responsibility, not just being accountable and holding themselves accountable for their actions or consequences. But I know it. I know I'm with somebody now who is in a position of power. And she comes home, she doesn't want to be that. Boom. She wants to be the soft little girl when she comes home.
Listen, let me piggyback on what you say. You said 2 very important things. I'm glad. Thank God. God bless your mom. You said something very important, bro. You said you had a heart-to-heart with your mother during a scare.
Mm-hmm.
And during a scare, I mean, you were scared as well, but you held your frame. You held your stoicism. You were the man that she needed. You were the rock that she needed. This is why she felt compelled to open up to you, because you were the rock. Women want somebody who is stronger than them. Women know you're stronger, but they want you to act stronger. When they're crying, they're distressed, you have to be the rock. You also said your 25-year-old friend is open with you. Why? Because you're non-judgmental. What is judgmental? A feminine emotional trait. You have to be the rock. A lot of these women, I don't need no man. They know that they need a man, but the reason why they're forced to behave that way, because most men today are women. So women have to be the opposite of who they're with. So if a man is feminine, the woman has to be masculine. In our particular cases, for the most part, I'm pretty sure you would agree, most women that claim that they don't need no man, they are in positions of power, we don't see none of that shit. Because we carry ourselves a certain way. Has nothing to do with finances, demographics, what kind of car you drive, where you live. It just means that a woman wants to feel safe and protected no matter what your economic status is and how you look. So this is why it's very important for a man to lead and be the leader. You said, let bygones be bygones, mom. Let's live today for the rest as long as we got it. That's leadership, and women need that. Men need to make sure that they understand. Men are too focused on trying to understand women versus trying to understand themselves, Joe. And I think if we spend a little more time in the mirror, finding out our deficiencies, applying some of the shit that we listen to, you'll be surprised how much benefit and how many things women would react to it positively.
Absolutely. I've been on dates with chicks who proclaim no Trump supporters, and they melt every time.
Facts.
every time.
I
And I
know.
don't go in there hard charging. I
Right.
just show up.
Boom.
They like the vibe. And they, like I told you before, women have instincts. They have that inner game that us men, most men, you have naturals.
Mhm.
Well, we call naturals. Naturals are guys who, good looking, come from a pretty stable family, who just emulate their role, their environment.
Right.
So inner game is something that I've had to work on personally,
Me too. Absolutely.
and a lot of men do. It's
Mhm.
something that took effort and repetition to internalize till it became a natural to me, second nature.
Yeah, we're still working on it every day. I can imagine. Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, and so that's women's inner game. It's already in there. It's put there. It's biologically in place to protect them from weak men.
Boom. Because they are survivalists. You got it.
Yes, they have to be. They have to be. They can't do it on their own.
Right.
It's
And men are mad. Men are mad at them. See, that's the thing, Joe. Like you said, bro. Men are mad. Men are angry at women because it's kind of like a double standard, bro. There's double standards across the board. There's double standards that are in favor of men, and there are double standards that are in favor of women. Men are mad at the double standard that's in favor of women versus what the double standard that's in favor of them. They're living comparatively to women, or comparatively to the men that most women want. But most women want a simp. The guys that are masculine, the guys that hold frame, you won't see that. They won't advertise that. Why? Because their mothers, their friends are going to shame them for that. So they rather parade a simp around, buying them bags and all that other shit. But guys like us, we know that they truly want us because they're the ones calling us when they're done on the date with the other guy. We're not bitter. And if we were bitter, Joe, in our coming up, that's because we realized everything that we learned was a lie. It was programming. And then after you get over that hump, a lot of guys feel comfortable in the bitter red pill rage phase versus seeing that the light there at the end of the tunnel is a lot better. A lot of these young guys think that you're washed up. This is when the shit really starts in our age bracket, bro. Life is great and can be better.
It can be if you embrace this. Again, these terms we use and these excuse me, container words make my fucking skin crawl. The alpha and all that.
I know.
But we need them for reference and context.
Context, yeah, exactly.
So when you accept that this red pill, this awakening, this knowledge, this truth, whatever you want to label it as, it's a gift. Don't be mad at it.
Right. Embrace it.
Embrace it.
Right.
You are taught. Just the fact that you know these simple truths put you a cut above. Now, but there's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. Everything has a light and a dark.
Right.
The light is, yes, you know these things now. Yet you know you have a fundamental understanding of a woman's true nature. You know more about yourself. You know what's more expected out of you. You know nobody gives a fuck. Don't cry. Just do the work. Get better. Do better.
Right.
Like, that's over with. Now, here's the curse. Here's the dark side. You can never go back.
Joe, I can't.
You can never unlearn it.
Dude. And you hit it on the head. I can't unsee what I already know. I can't watch TV without ruining a program. I can't see something, right? I can't. And something else that you left out too, which is important. There's a cost to this shit. You got to remember, your new life, when you're awakened to truth, will cost you your old life. It's going to cost you your friends, family, everything. And this is why these communities, it's not a club. Some of them are clubs and shit, but we're not into clubs. We really, it's refreshing to find a man who you can have a conversation with that you don't even know, but understands you. Because as we age, time is our most valuable commodity. And I don't got time to be explaining this shit to people that don't get it. So the fact that a man can get it and understand it and is trying to do something good with what he knows, I gravitate to that. Because I'd rather listen to that. So you can't unsee it and there's no turning back. And the problem is a lot of guys really want to turn back. I used to say something a long time ago, Joe. This is real talk. Sometimes, to this day, bro, sometimes I think I was happier before I knew the truth. And the reason I say that is because ignorance is bliss. But then I snap out of it and I said I would never go back to not knowing the truth because I know what's waiting for me at the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, man, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
It is. And, you know, once you get comfortable with some truths, like some of the things I just listed, that as a man, and here's something for all the guys out here who are going to watch this. Let me remind y'all, this was put together. There was a little lapse in communication between AV and I. I thought he had a link. He thought I had a link. I had to throw this up last minute. That's why there's barely any viewers, and I had no time to promote or anything. But that's okay, because that's not what it's about. It's about this. And for all the guys out there that are going to watch, that are watching, the quicker you can accept and embody these truths, things like you're a man, just the way it's going to be moving and here on out, here forward, is that you have the burden of proof of being a man.
Boom.
You constantly have to prove your worth to everybody in your world. And that's just the way it is. I mean, you don't like literally have to. You can go hold yourself away, check out, go off grid, and just prove yourself to yourself that you can keep yourself alive. But if you want access in society, and you've got to constantly provide value in many ways.
Absolutely.
So, and this is why the saying is that, you know, women are born women, a man is made. You know, you make yourself a man through trial and error, and these little rites of passage, you know, the large ones which don't exist anymore, which aren't necessary to have, like where you're 14 and you go survive in the jungle for 5 nights with a matchstick and a rock, and you don't need to do that anymore. But there are rites of passage, so to speak, throughout a young man's life. Your first fight, your first time you fuck, you know, your first job, your first failure, your first heartbreak. Look at Thor's in here.
RP Thor, what's up, brother? Yo, Joe, you said something very important, which I think we need to provide some context for the audience. Joe said, that's why I have this shirt on, Heavy Lies the Burden. This is actually, this is inspired by Red Pill. Heavy Lies the Burden. And then on the back, this is a performance. Basically, in a nutshell, Joe is saying, as a man, you have to embrace certain truths, and you have to embrace the fact that either A, nobody cares about you, and B, nobody's here to save you. So what does that mean in layman's terms? That basically means you have to perform. What does perform mean? Perform means do something every day that moves you in a direction to become better. Now, we're not talking necessarily about finance, Bitcoin, all that other fancy shit. That's part of it, but there are levels. You can't be, you know, working a $15 an hour job wanting to be high value. There's levels. You have to level yourself up. But if you continue to do something every day, like Joe said, you from this day forth, you say, you know what, I'm gonna erase everything that I was taught and reset. You can get there. You can get there. You could trump what we've learned and save yourself some time. Men have to perform. Men are made, and nobody's going to make you but you. Women have to preserve their value. Men have to create it. And when you create it, you reserve the right to be picky with the women you want to mess with the guys you want to associate with. And this is why we understand. So when you see some high-level guys and they're kind of snobbish or they're kind of just into themselves, the reason why, because A, they worked hard to get there, and B, the conversation is different. You guys are not going to understand what we're talking about.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So if you want to get to that point, respectively, in your own demographic, you got to become better, man. Embrace it. Don't worry about the women. Just know as you become better, and this information, listening to Joe and this type of content and practicing it, you already valuable because you light years ahead of a lot of these dudes that are not on this shit, bro.
No.
That's the shit. It's not about views and cars. Is that too? But if you have the knowledge, you can attain the cars and the views and the broads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And it's only as complicated as you make it.
Facts.
As much resistance as you throw up to the shit, the harder it's going to be.
Right.
You go now. There's work. There's work to do. There
Every day.
is work. And but that, that's when you swing back to there's the burden of proof, the burden of performance. Heavy lies the burden. You can't stop. You don't have permission anymore.
Right.
Those days are over.
Right.
Like you stepped into a whole nother fucking realm.
Right. Exactly.
And then once you know, if you try to stop, you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna get depressed. You're gonna backslide. It's ugly. So then,
Right.
like I said, part of the curse. Once you know, you can't unknow it. You can't unsee it.
Right. And you got to ask yourself, do you want to be in the know or never know? That's a testament of your character because yeah, it's work, but what isn't work? What isn't work, bro? Do you want to continue to work for somebody else, which I mean the narrative society, and not be happy, or live the life that you want to live based on your rules? And the only way you can do that is by creating yourself, inventing yourself. You can listen to content all day, Ryan, Rich, Rolo, all these dudes, and I mess with all them heavy. But if you're not applying what they teaching you, you just wasting everybody's time.
You're masturbating, red pill masturbator.
You're blue pill masturbating, right? You shadow boxing. And believe me, man, all these guys that we listen to didn't start out this way. The best guys that are teaching us went through the most battles and they won. And you can too. It's just a matter of really identifying and saying, you know what, you got to be willing to cash in your chips, cash in your old life, and get a new hand for the new one. And if you're ready to do that, man, the world is your oyster because there's too much content out there for you guys to continue to make the same damn mistakes. It's going to get real hard, man. I think the content's going to start to shift towards men because, yeah, we kind of figured out female nature already. Let's talk about male nature.
Yeah, that's
a lot of, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
That shit.
Yeah,
you work that out. That stuff comes easy.
Right. We need to focus on man shit because a lot of males are not men, and a lot of men understand women based on the shit that we talk about, but they don't understand themselves. So I think we need to start telling them about themselves so they can start clicking the shit together. So
well, that's not a sexy topic.
I know.
It's not appealing. It's actually real and requires work. And
facts.
You don't get the warm and fuzzies listening to that shit.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? I tune in, telling me I got to do this, I got to do that, like, if I want this, I got to do all this fucking work. Like, nobody wants to hear that.
I want to learn how to get laid. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
And fellas, that's the easiest part.
Yeah. Trust me.
And so yeah. And look, I mean, this is just like the shit we're talking about here is superficial. This is surface. Like, this is
the top. This is the icing right now. We haven't even gone in nothing yet.
You start breaking it down, and and I like what you said about that. The follow up to Nobody Cares, and it's now it's up to you now, and it's like you got to participate in your own rescue.
Yes.
Somebody I know, very dear to me, has a saying that nobody's coming to save you, so start swimming. I love that. That makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck.
Me too. I got some chills too, man. It
makes you want to get up and go build something. Right. And it's true, but I mean, it's not a negative thing though. And that's what people hear that and they're like, yeah, we all alone and nobody understands. Like, no. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, hey, the good thing is you're on your own. That's a positive. That should change your whole perspective and brighten your day. That should be the highlight of your day, understanding that you're in it on your own. You got to get it done.
And you know what, Joe? You know what a lot of guys fail to realize? When you embrace the fact that nobody's here to save you and you start swimming, the guys that are waiting for you on that island will respect you and embrace you even more because we all had to swim ourselves to get to the island. I'll meet you at the island, but I'm not going to save you. And if you make the cut, bro, you got brothers, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is because men put in the work to be successful. They want to see other guys put in the work to be successful. And then you determine if that other person is going to be valuable to you. You got to be valuable to your brothers, your friend, your comrades, whoever, women. You can't expect a woman to be submissive to you if you're not leading properly, if you're not living in a way that's conducive to her following you. No. There's a whole bunch of shit, bro.
And that, we, going into that, and the way a woman would typically find out is if you're worth that is by testing you. You
Shit
go through the
test.
whole test. We'll get into that another time. And
Right,
then,
right.
but it's no different in your tribe of men and your inner circle. You're going to be tested by these monks. They want to know. So this goes back to the prehistoric days when we were simple humans. Like when you go out in a hunting party, if a saber-tooth tiger comes running out, are you going to run or are you going to stay and die with the fellas and try to fight this thing off? Like they got to know you're there, you're it, like you're about that shit. And it's the same thing when you run across men like you, like these Afi, me, all these men we know. Like, don't come in here with that bullshit.
Right. Right. Yeah. Embrace it. Embrace it. That's the word of the day.
So you have to, and so this all circles back to the burden of performance. You're constantly proving yourself. Yep. You're proving yourself to yourself.
Boom.
And like once you've internalized that you got what it takes, you do what it takes, you talk the talk. I mean, you walk the talk. Mm-hmm. It's like, it. There's a different sense of ease that comes about you and the way you live your life. It's a little easier.
Your energy. People are drawn to that. You don't have to prove it because you are it. Very important what you said. When you prove shit, that's so critical what you said, Joe. Kudos to you, my G. You said you have to prove it to yourself. That causes energy. That's called confidence. That's called inner confidence. Joe ain't have to buy his confidence. Joe is leading by Joe because he's proving it to himself. Now, all the bells and whistles, the car, the body, all the shit is extra. But he don't need that shit because he's already proven it to himself. That's the difference. You guys would rather buy something instead of proving it to yourself. You're letting the material thing prove shit to you that can be taken from you. And what happens? You get a trophy wife, a bad bitch. She's gone. What are you? You left with nothing. So you got to fix yourself. This is all the shit that we talk about. Purpose, best version of yourself, mental point of origin. Focus on yourself. You will be drawn to people that are just like you or have the same mindset. And women will want to submit to you because they know they're intrigued and they know that you are not like 90% of these other lame ass dudes.
Very true. And when and I was starting this journey, a lot of guys wind up in this space because of some kind of pressure pushed them in this direction. Mm-hmm. Broken heart, lack of sense of purpose. They're looking for answers.
Boom.
And that's a beautiful thing to me when people stumble into this shit. And you have this realization like, oh shit, there is something different. There is more.
Joe, bro, and I think we said this last time, so I'll share it with your audience. You said something important, bro. You knocking it out the park. Answers. They're looking for answers. The thing is this. I said this too when we talked off air real quick. Basically, in a nutshell, I went to therapy. Now, why did I go to therapy? It wasn't over a woman. It was, again, answers. Things were not aligning. I'm like, yo, I was told to do this. It's not working out for me. So when I came out of therapy, Joe, my mother, some family members, people that initially encouraged me to go. That's great, AV. You should go in there. They thought I was going to be defanged, brother. They thought I was going to be clawless. Yo, Joe, when I came out, bro, I was worse. I was more confident, more assertive. And they were like, what happened? So that just shows you, Joe, that nobody's here to save you. And there was a selfish motive. They wanted me to be subdued to follow into that conditioning versus me identifying the truth. Big Rick, Slick Rick, what's good, my G? Slick Rick, peace, bro. That's my brother.
Me and him talked earlier today.
Yeah, that's my G. Yeah.
And,
so yeah, bro. Mm-hmm.
And look, it's not always easy, but it's always worth it. And if you just keep going and divorce yourself from your old ideas, your old solutions, your old mental models and copes, and if you can really just open yourself up to some having faith, just kind of stepping off the ledge and taking the action, and give and be patient enough to allow the process to work. And I know it's a cliche, but a cliche is a cliche for a reason. Trust the process and just let these things materialize. These, some of these guys are fortunate enough to find this space in the early 20s or mid 20s, or even at 30. Yeah. It's a lot easier to fucking defunk your brain and rewire that shit. So, but I didn't find a space till 40, 41, something like that.
Bro, me too, in my 40s. But fortunately for us, Joe, like I said, we were quote unquote naturals. There were some unanswered things. So, and we cut from a different cloth, my brother, because we're used to listening to, we understand old school principles. These young guys have something against older guys that you guys don't know. Things have changed. Men have changed because they've allowed society to dictate what a man is.
Some of it's allowing. Some of it's allowing. Some of it is like you're fucking indoctrinated. You got no choice. That shit's
right.
Programmed into you from every angle. School, radio, TV.
Yeah.
That's
true. That's true.
You get the surge of single motherhood. And you talked earlier about how that woman, I think some of them do it consciously. Right. Some of them unconsciously program their little boys into being these, building a better beta, is what Rollo calls it.
Facts.
And because I used to notice that about my mom would tell me about if I had a crush on a chick, and she just tell her how you feel and tell her this and I did it. Like I'd have these other chicks throwing themselves at me. I was like, yeah, that's fun, but I want her. So I'm gonna tell her, I'm gonna write her a love note and profess my love for her and tell her how much better I'd treat her than the asshole she's with. And it never fucking added up. But she herself would go for the bad boy.
Yep.
And so obviously now it makes sense.
Right.
She's building me to be this everything my dad was not.
Boom. But wish she was. Exactly. Kinda.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I feel you.
And if you start, here's one good indicator. If you've heard a lot in your life, you're going to make such a great boyfriend one day. You got work to do.
Facts. You
got work to do. You're doing it wrong.
And that's real. Peace, Matt. Salute, bro.
Yeah,
man. That's crazy.
And so that's consciously, unconsciously, whatever. Women do what they do. I don't hate them for it.
Right. And I think the big takeaway from today's, what we've been talking about thus far, non-judgmental. Don't hate women for being women, and appreciate women for what they can do for you. Focus on yourself. You know what I mean? Whether they were conscious or not, it doesn't matter. From this day forth, like Joe said earlier, start to realize what you're going to be willing to part with. And then start your life. You can always reinvent yourself, man. It's never too late. Remember, time is on our side if you do the work as a man. Time is not necessarily, it's backwards. So when girls are sprouting, they're developing, they got all the boys, and the guys are awkward. We still trying to figure out where we going. But if you're doing the work, the world is your oyster. Like Rich Cooper says, spoils of war. He says that a lot. Spoils of war. You could choose. And you'll be surprised, bro. Gray, beard, all this shit. Bro, they're coming because they know. They done with these F boys, and they want a real man. And when they're around a real man, you don't even have to tell them to submit. They already know how to sit up straight. Women know how to sit up straight and take authority from their bosses. Why? Because they get paid. Women, I don't need no man. Yes, you do. You need the government. You need the child support, or you need your boss's money to cut the check. So you have to understand that women do follow leadership. You just have to be in a position to lead her, and she has to be interested in you to follow.
Well, yeah, we got a long ways to go. Not today. Right. We got a lot of ground to cover.
Facts.
But we're going on an hour now. We got a little late start. So we actually
apologize to the audience. Yeah, it was my fault. We were having some technical difficulties, man. But this was awesome, Joe, man. Like I said, I'm going to be getting my setup set up real soon, my official setup, and I definitely would love to have you on as well, man. Whenever you invite me onto your platform again, bro, I would love to come back on, man, because we got a lot of ground to cover. Like you said, this is surface. We have a lot of shit to unpack for you guys. So,
and just so you know, this is my debut. This is my first live stream ever.
Oh, nice. All right, man. Appreciate you, bro. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna blast this on my IG too, bro. Definitely. I appreciate you.
This is gonna go down in history.
Facts. Let's
opening.
go. Let's go.
But so yeah, next time we're gonna nail down a date. We'll reach out to all my folks. You reach out to all your folks, and we'll get something going.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate.
I mean, think about it. It was good. We didn't have nothing thought. We didn't have nothing thought up. We didn't have topics. We didn't have nothing.
This is off. Just so you guys know, this is off the dome. We just, like I said, I was unprepared. This was his first one. It came off without a hitch, but it was organic, and it was things that you guys need to hear. It's not regurgitated. It's stuff that's coming from two men who understand what's required and necessary for you guys to salvage what you guys call a life right now. So that's what it is.
And look, the stuff I talk about and the stuff I try to relate to other men who are in this space, this isn't theory. This is real life experience for me that I talk about.
Facts.
And that I share, that I give freely, because I genuinely want to see people do well. I want to see men do well. I want to see a change. I want to see a shift. I want to see everybody do well. I don't want to have to hear about another guy killing himself over a chick. I don't want to have to hear about a guy who just found out his girlfriend's been cheating on him for months.
And now he's in jail because he fought the guy. Yeah.
I don't want to see these guys have to suffer it. And I mean, a broken heart, that's got to happen. You got to have your heart broken in this life.
Of course.
But the other shit can be prevented. You know, there's a much better, more quality existence out there for you. There's a great life to be led. I'm here to tell you.
Absolutely.
If you're willing to accept these truths. And look, I know people first finding out about this shit, you're going to be pissed off, confused, bitter, jaded.
Facts. Yep.
It's okay. It's a natural. It's a part of the process. So real quick, give me about 3 minutes on this.
Sure.
That's part of the process. Essentially, there's a part of you, a part of your identity that you've adopted for years and lived by. Your core belief in your identity is dying. You're actually mourning a death of a certain aspect of you. Boom. It's a death and a rebirth. So there's going to be a process of grievance. And I don't know the stage. It's something like denial.
Yeah.
Depression, anger, acceptance, and, that whole thing. And what we want to be careful is in the anger phase not to get stuck. That's where black pill and MGTOW are born, in that anger phase. And then like the depression phase, like once you pass the fact that you got cheated on or whatever the shit situation may have been, if you hadn't killed yourself by then, you're probably not going to kill yourself when you get to the depression phase but keep moving, keep plugging, left foot, right foot. I don't give a shit. I know you're going to feel terrible some days about it and things are going to be confusing. Keep moving. It gets better. I promise you it gets better.
Absolutely.
More than you can imagine. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, man. You'd be surprised, man. Just like Joe said, I think you hit it on the head, man. You'd be surprised what you open yourself up to. You got to embrace what comes with it. There's growing pains. You want to work out and transform your body. There's growing pains. You find out the truth. You got to go through those growing pains to accept the truth. Once you can laugh at the truth, chuckle at the truth. I laugh at women all the time, man, because of the things that I know. And I'm not a smiley, laughy dude, but every time we talking about these truth bombs, I chuckle because it's so true and it's so funny. Before, the truth would anger me. I want to flip a table, do all the dumb shit, but that's because I didn't accept it. Now I can accept it. Once you accept it, your life can be so much better because it's less pressure. You could use some of that energy to focus on your business, your mind, your physique, whatever you want to do to better yourself. Don't dwell on shit you can't fix. Control what you can within yourself, become better, and the world is your oyster.
That's it. All right. Why don't you tell them where they can find you?
Yo, Joe, this was awesome. Slick Rick, congrats, Proud Masculine, on your first live. Absolutely, man. Thank you for having me on, man. This is an honor. You definitely coming on my show when I get popping. So again, Alpha Villains on Instagram. You guys can follow me there. I have a YouTube channel as well called Alpha Villains, man. It's been an honor, man, and I look forward to doing more collabs with you, bro. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
The show that will go down in history.
Boom.
Possibly one of the best.
Let's go.
Best ever.
Let's go.
But yeah, also me, Instagram, Twitter. I do a lot of I go to Twitter to fuck off. I really do, but it's fun.
The troll, right?
Yeah. I'm with a group of people in there. We just shit post and
piss people off.
Retweet shit with sarcasm, and it's all in good fun.
Yeah.
But my Instagram, I'm not really as active as I should be on social media. I'm gonna go ahead and tell them myself right now in front of everybody. But things are kind of settling down for me now, and I got a clear direction again. I kind of got some stability back in. It's been a while since I had that. It's just part of the process, though, like we talk about. Shit had to be done the way it had to be done right then. So it's back. It's going to be more consistent, and I'm looking forward to it. And thank you again, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Thor, Rick, W, always good to see you. Parrish dropped in the beginning. You don't know Parrish.
Make sure you guys leave a comment too. Like the video, leave a comment. Let us know what you liked, and man, yeah, it's up to the channel, bro. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and the next one is going to be a little more premeditated.
Okay.
But good. That's it. Take it easy. Thank y'all, everybody. AAV, thank you, man.
I appreciate you, bro. We'll talk soon, brother.
All right.
All right, man. Later.
Later.